You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert. Clear all channels.
This is an exclusive
Pay-per-view review.
How you like that?
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling to the Max special number 9, all about WWE Battleground 2015. And sadly, this is the first time I've ever done one of these that doesn't involve myself without Gary. He is doing a church thing tonight. He was going to be, we'd have to start at like 2 in the morning so he could watch the pay-per-view and all that stuff. And yeah, just wasn't going to happen tonight. But at least I do have Mr. Paul with us here. So.
Yeah, down to usual suspect. This is going to be really, really weird.
Yeah, really. But I think we'll make it through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident you and me can make it through this. It's just, doing a 100 and something episodes with 3 of us, and now it's 2 of us, and it's going to be odd.
Yeah, it is. You could say that parts of this pay-per-view that we're going to talk about tonight were pretty odd.
Segues.
Yes. They work wonderfully when they do work.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that, we need to beat around the bush that much longer. If you do want to call in, we are live right now, 972-591-8620. You can follow along in the Spreaker chat. Either download the Spreaker app on your phone or click the link that's in the Facebook groups or whatever, and you can join me in the chat talk. And then if you ask a question, I can ask it to Paul and we can discuss it. All right, so I guess we might as well start with the way this thing started with that pre-show match. Truth and King Barrett. King Barrett picks up the win with the bullhammer. It went a lot longer than probably any of their other matches have gone. They tried. I really couldn't care as far as emotional investment, but what do you think?
They tried. I think that sums it up best. I tell you what, the one good part about this was I enjoyed Truth's promo before this match during the pre-show. It was pretty funny. It was entertaining. And that's what Truth's good at. It's this stuff whenever he gets in the ring and when WWE doesn't care about him in the ring. And same with Barrett. This was 10 minutes of sort of going through the motions. And you could say that for a lot of stuff, especially with these two in the feud. But at least Barrett got the win. I think that's very necessary, even though it's been 50-50 the whole way. But at least he gets the one that counts.
Right. So, he gets to keep his crown. And we move this thing along to start the show with perhaps another match that and feud and whatever it is that they've faced each other so many times. Randy Orton, the hometown boy, makes sense why you would start out the pay-per-view that way against Sheamus. Again, I felt like they really put some effort into this. There was some, we got the usual stuff. But again, just the emotional investment wasn't there because we've seen this so many times. Makes sense. Kind of weird. Randy Orton wins in the hometown. Usually the hometown people don't win. But what do you think?
I was really hoping Sheamus would win here. But as you said, it makes sense for Randy to open the show. The crowd was super hot for him. And I think some of that transferred over because I was into this match and I felt like their back and forth felt more inspired than it usually is. I felt like this was one of their better efforts that we've seen in the 2 million parts that we have seen this match. So I enjoyed a lot of the spots, though. I mean, it's a shame that we sort of get that flash victory with RKO seemingly after 4 minutes of him being in the cloverleaf, but there's some good spots in this too. There's not a lot to hate on here. It's just, as you said, the build didn't do anything for us, but I think the live crowd did something for people watching at home, certainly.
That's what I'll give them. The live crowd for this was not just for this match, but for most of the night. We're really hot for everything. So, I mean, I really think that did them a lot of favors because it's one of those where if the crowd was dead for a lot of this, it would have really hurt some of the matches that we weren't anticipating.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps it. And I agree with you. There was some spots in there. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more than I would have, but it's just like the whole dryness of having seen it so many times. If maybe they wouldn't have had this, what felt like every Raw or every other Raw or whatever leading up to it, I think we would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, you could say the same, especially that counts for Barrett and Truth, who were seemingly on Raw every week up to this match.
Yeah, and on SmackDown too.
Yeah. Oh well. Fortunately, I don't watch SmackDown, so it's not that played out.
All right. So after this, we had we did have a few. The only really backstage stuff that we had during this involved the Divas, because a little bit before the pre-show was about to start, PW Insider had announced that Sasha, Charlotte, and Brie was going to be added to the show. We didn't really get anything confirming that before then, so then Stephanie is there. I don't know if this happened on the pre-show, if it happened on the actual pay-per-view, but either way, JoJo interviews her. It was really funny because Stephanie made a joke about how short JoJo's scene compared to her. It felt like Stephanie was like, a
giant
tower.
Yes.
So they made a little joke about that. Stephanie announced that basically the 3 teams will pick a representative, and then that's what we get. We also get a little backstage thing with Sasha, Naomi, and Tamina. We get to find out that their team is beautiful and dangerous, which I much more approve of than bad at dominating. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be, but what do you think about the new name?
I'm fine with it. It certainly goes along with Sasha wanting to name everything, apparently, because her and Becky were Team Bay. Lord, I mean, her and Charlotte and Summer were the
BFFs.
Yeah, another abbreviation with B. So, just it works for me. I mean, whatever anybody wants to call it, like Team Bella over there, and then I guess like Team Good Ladies or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so, and then we got Charlotte, Paige, and Becky kind of going off of what Stephanie said, where Stephanie says she wanted to see them tear the house down, and they kind of went off of that. But before we get to that, we had the tag team titles on the line, Primetime Players and New Day. The crowd was really into the New Day coming out at the beginning and kind of going off a little bit on St. Louis, and then them doing their whole New Day rocks, turning into the New Day sucks. I did like during the Randy Orton and Sheamus match, they did the RKO chant like the New Day chant. So I guess that's permanently over now. It's just certainly something different. But what do you think about New Day and Primetime Players? I kind of enjoy it.
I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I was going to. And it mostly has to do, I think, with Darren Young, who the finishing sequence was so smooth, and him just going from move to move almost effortlessly. Is, you expect that from certain people, but not somebody like a Darren Young. And it's maybe because we haven't seen him very often. But certainly I felt like he stood out a lot in this matchup.
Yeah, it almost feels like Darren Young took a small step into Suplex City because half his moveset is different suplexes, which is totally fine because it kind of works for him. And I think, like, I agree with you in this match. He really did the whole thing with, moving around with the Trouble in Paradise, hitting the gut check, then Titus gets in there and does the Clash of the Titus, and you get, I mean, it's not a tag move, but it felt, like you said, so smooth. It felt like it's just bam, bam, okay, finish and it's over.
Mhm.
And it was kind of surprising too, because a lot of times when you see the heel team lose a lot, it means that they're preparing them to win the titles again. And this time you get primetime players basically winning. Good back and forth. The four guys were involved, and Xavier Woods again with his phrases at ringside is hilarious. But,
Tricep meat.
yes, tricep meat. That was great. But yeah, what do you think of the decision to have primetime players keep it here?
I think the primetime players are slowly but surely getting over. You see more fans back to doing the $1 Million Shuffle. I think they're getting there. And it helps that the New Day, I think, are established enough and good enough at what they do that you could put them up against the primetime players. You could probably extend this out for another month if you wanted to, and I think it would still be okay. Especially if you keep having these matches like this. Like I said, I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I was going to.
You think we're getting the usual multi-person match at SummerSlam? That they won't go with this again?
If the rumors are true and the Usos are coming back, I imagine so. Frankly, that I wouldn't have a problem with that either. I think the Usos, they won't. I won't say they'll be a breath of fresh air, but it'll be nice to see them back. They certainly are the staple of the tag team division. But I hope they don't give up on the primetime players just because the Usos are back. Because growing the division as they have been slowly but surely, one team at a time, is a nice addition to the show.
Yeah, we've had. I think by the time the Usos come back, they've been gone since WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does feel like a new addition to everything. It feels like that they've been around. They haven't been around long enough. Or in so long, sorry, that it's like, oh, well, we're getting a new team again because, maybe they're going to come back with something new. Maybe they're going to have a few new tag moves they've been working on. Who knows? But it by the time they get back at SummerSlam, it would be nice to see them. And you'll get probably, who knows if Rowan's going to be back by then?
Right.
But you could have another few things in the mix. I'd like to welcome Mr. Brandon Biscobing, who's joined us here.
Hello.
How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. A little bummed at certain parts of the pay-per-view, but we'll probably get to them later.
Oh yeah, we will. So, we were just finishing up on the tag match. What do you think?
Let me just go. Have you talked about the pre-show match yet?
Yeah, we talked about it.
All I've got to say about the pre-show match is that if I knew what it was going to be about, they didn't really clarify on Raw too much how the fact that it was going to be basically another King of the Ring final, that, whoever won would be the official King of the Ring. If I had known that, I would have predicted Barrett to win it because, Barrett does seem more of a king type, and if they want to have any sort of respectability for the King of the Ring, that obviously he was the choice. In terms of the tag match, while I was expecting the New Day to win this match, considering all of the bigger push that they've been getting and the bigger airtime that they've been getting on Raw leading up to it, I understand why they had the primetime players win it. I think this is leading them to, have the New Day become a little bit more negative and, maybe have a little bit of, a threat to that power of positivity thing. And then in terms of the Orton-Sheamus match, not real. While yes, I was surprised in terms of storyline. Sheamus is supposed to be, the guy that has the Money in the Bank, but like the King of the Ring, Money in the Bank doesn't really seem to mean all that much right now. Where they kind of just tossed it on Sheamus without really having any clear-cut plan for him. I also understand why they gave it to Orton because of the fact that it was in St. Louis. So, obviously, they're going to give it to the hometown guy, like how they gave a win to Zack Ryder a while back when they were at Nassau, despite the fact that he's a jobber most of the time.
Yeah. Anything to say about Sheamus and Orton? Okay, before we...
I wasn't sure if you guys got to that because that was the first match. So
yeah,
we
already went past the first match, but the tag match was after it.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something about it, or?
Well, I basically just said what I thought. You know, it wasn't really much of a match. I mean, I originally thought that Sheamus was gonna win it just because he was Money in the Bank winner, and you know, him losing with the Money in the Bank is kind of a, you know, it destroys any momentum he has. But I mean, I understand why Orton won because they were in St. Louis. That's pretty much all it was. They basically gave Orton a feud just so that he could have a match in St. Louis and win. So I think that feud will be over now, and you know, hopefully Sheamus will move on to bigger and better things.
All right, Glenn Smith
Hey,
is also
man.
with us. He was there live at Battleground.
Yes, I was, and it was really fun, and I kind of made the prediction of that by the time they call in, that I would sound more or less like John Laurinaitis.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice there.
Yeah, I gotta say it was a stellar show. I will say, I had a chance to and I fist bumped Booker T, and for Roman Reigns' entrance, fist bumped him as well. Got it on video, by the way.
That's cool.
And,
So you
yeah.
were like in the front, huh?
Yeah, I was, but for Roman's entrance, I actually kind of maneuvered my way.
Okay.
Quote unquote.
Smart man.
A genius.
All right. Well, do you want to say anything about the tag team title match before we move on?
Yeah, I will. I gotta say, I was impressed. New Day really put up probably one of like a really good title defense, given just kind of how it almost seemed almost rushed in a way. Even though they had a 5-week build, it still seemed rushed. But I gotta say, I give them credit. They did a great job, and it was really neat hearing Titus actually do the dog bark in person.
Was everybody doing it out on the crowd too?
Oh yeah. They definitely were. I mean, if I was smart, I would have taken video of the dog bark part. But unfortunately, I was doing a millions of dollars dance with the stranger right next to me.
Were you? let me just ask, since you were there, were you part of that RKO chant? That was awesome. I just had to put.
Yeah,
it out.
I guess I think that was actually one that I started. So I mean, not to brag or anything, but yeah, that was kind of me.
If you were the one that started that, I give you huge props for that. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I got a lot of great action shots. If it's all right, I hope to be sending them in to the Wrestling to the Max group page on Facebook. So, and also I got some pretty sweet
Speaking
videos.
of videos, apparently Titus O'Neil, Darren Young, and Mark Henry got pulled over by the police.
What?
They left the arena.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
apparently Darren was going too fast, and Titus is saying that they almost got themselves locked up if they wouldn't have had a clean record. So, I don't know how much of that is them,
Flowed right out of the
tragic.
building, huh?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, the minute that final bell rang and Undertaker crossed the threshold to the back room, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if guys were gunning it out of there to beat traffic, and I don't blame it. I just from living in St. Louis and just kind of where the Scott Trade Center is positioned, it is kind of notorious for having a little bit of traffic.
Oh yeah, most places are like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so moving
I
along
got
here. What
I gotta ask a question real quick. So at the beginning of the show, after the pyro went off and they panned to the crowd, did you see any interesting signs, red colored marker ones?
I don't know that I wasn't paying attention until
All right,
I heard Sheamus's music. So
yeah, because not only did I have a sign with me saying "Welcome to Saint Suplex City, Population One Beast" on the back side of it, I had a thing just saying "Wrestling to the Max." I
wow.
wanted that to be a surprise for you guys if you guys saw it on
go back there and look at it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back
Yeah.
and look at that and see it.
It's just my way of saying thank you guys for everything awesome that you do on a regular basis. I mean, this is probably one of the greatest fan podcasts that there are. I mean, I'm not trying to like brown nose or anything. I really feel this way from the bottom of whatever regions of my heart.
Well, Paul, hey, we got our first sign on TV, so
Yay!
yay! so yeah, moving along, we finally get our first. Now, see, I didn't like this. I really much would have preferred. I don't know how you feel about this, Paul. Just because I think about the fact that yes, a lot of people are watching this on the network, so it's not on TV where you're going to get a lot of the more casuals. But I feel like from the word go, you should be trying to introduce these divas one by one, getting people into their music, their entrance, all that stuff. I think it would have been a much better idea if you have them pick, when you do the little Bat Say Sevens, this is when you pick the diva that's going to be representing that team, and then they have single entrances instead of basically your total diva or which this is why I think they made I've heard it many times now, but I really believe it that this is why they made these three teams. They wanted a total diva on each side for these, but so you have your three teams all represented by the same everything that you always hear, instead of getting everybody accustomed to who Charlotte, who Becky are, and or not Becky, Charlotte and Sasha at least. You know, what did you think? Do you have an issue with it, or?
So we're just talking about the entrances, right? Or are we talking about just the whole?
Yeah, that's
okay.
the entrances. Yeah.
Okay. I agree partially. I think they did an okay job with the promos backstage because you had Paige and Becky and Charlotte sort of together in that first promo that they did, which I thought was pretty good. You let Becky go on her tirade, you let Charlotte put a bow on it, you had Paige set up. That I thought that was pretty good. Sasha Banks, I think, added her 2 cents very nicely to Naomi's little portion of the promo. But, I mean, it certainly would have helped to have them come out on their own and let everybody get a feel for what they're about, just individually, instead of being lost.
Especially having Sasha walk around with that belt by herself, you know, that would have been something she didn't get to do on Monday.
Yeah, and I totally didn't get why she had it backstage and didn't have it coming out. That made no sense to me, but whatever.
Yeah, especially if you're going to announce her as the NXT Women's Champion, let people see that belt.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, we can have Kevin Owens come out with the belt, but we can't let Sasha do it.
I have a feeling that they're worried about people seeing that belt and thinking it looks cooler than the Divas title, and people.
Because it is, dude.
Well,
Because it does. Who looks at the Divas title? Who looks at that belt and says, "Oh, the Divas title looks better"?
No one. I mean, the Divas
Person
title
drunk?
is a butterfly. Who's intimidated by that?
Yeah, the NXT Women's one is much more generic and all that.
Well,
stuff.
I mean,
not generic. It looks more classic to the what you would expect the title to look like. It doesn't look very. It doesn't have to be really girly. It has its pink in it, but it looks like a belt. It looks like a title.
I know. I think it might have been you, Sean, that posted this on the Facebook group. I know someone did, but I would love to see one of these three, one of the NXT titles, maybe Sasha, since she holds the NXT title right now, but have one of them end up winning the Divas title and pull a Medusa and toss that title into the garbage can and say the NXT title is now the WWE Divas title?
Bro, you just blew my mind.
I don't know about all that, because then are you going to have the Divas champion go to NXT every time there's got to be a title defense?
Actually, no, let me rephrase that. Not the NXT title. Bring back the old WWE Women's title.
Yes.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be okay with it too. I just think WWE likes the branding of divas, so they're probably going to keep it. I'm all for introducing a new championship.
I understand that this is a pipe dream, but I just wish they would do it. But yes, I completely agree with you, Paul, that they, for whatever reason, they think the WWE Universe wants divas and these, like, what diva represents now, instead of actually wrestling for the women's title.
Well, I mean, they're trying to change that now, is what this is supposed to be all about. So you can call it whatever you want: divas, women, knockouts, whatever other fancy name you could put on it. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. But if you want a better looking belt, I'm all for that. You can chunk the butterfly wherever you want, and if you bring in a classier belt, I'm all for that.
Yeah, see, but that, would WWE have Michelle McCool show up and have Layla show up so they can rejoin the belt, since it was broken in half or whatever? But WWE would probably just forget about that and forget that some of us stupid people remember that. But most people probably won't, so that's one of those I guess let slide, whatever. But yeah, so let's talk about the match. Aaron and I, who are, Aaron's training to be a wrestler. I've been there, and for me, this is one of those times where I think WWE is trying to be too cute. I think that I would have much rather preferred them try to do a tag, and maybe you build up to facing the Bella team, because isn't this about stopping the Bellas? I mean, so Sasha, they're not really, the NXT women are not used to being in these multi-person matches. Not to mention, we don't even know how much time they had to plan, because we don't know how much time they really got to know, hey, you're having a match tonight, by the way. So a lot of it felt clunky. The stuff to the outside was very slow. It was cool. Let's not throw it on the bus. It was cool, but it was very like, okay, we're waiting for them to get up so I can jump out there, and so it's just some of it felt disjointed. There's a lot of triple threat formula. Brie getting knocked out constantly so you can get the Sasha and Charlotte interaction. I felt like the crowd was into it. At times, there was other times where I think they were still trying to adjust to what this is or whatever. But I really liked the finish. Brie, I thought, held her own in there. She didn't look bad or anything, which is something you can say for Brie. And overall, I think it comes off well as your first impression. But if you wanted it to be smoother and a bit more dynamic, maybe a triple threat wasn't the best way to go. I don't know. What do you think, Paul?
I felt like it was a way to introduce you more to what Charlotte and Sasha are about in the ring, because Brie had very little, if anything, to do in this 12 minutes of match. She got in her little Brie mode spots here and there, but mostly it was her on the outside, and it was Charlotte and Sasha carrying most of the work, which I appreciated. I thought this match was fine, though, all the way around. The best part about it was I think the live crowd was into it. They seemed more invested, even if it just was because Charlotte and Sasha were from NXT and didn't really care about much of the goings-on around the match. Just that little bit of invested, I think, got some of the other, casuals in the crowd into the match. I don't know about having a triple threat this way, but I think it works. I mean, it's just Brie. It's not like anybody cares about Brie.
I'm just worried about them. This is the kind of match we're going to see a lot because there's 3 teams. I hope that they figure out how to do different configurations of these divas.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, the time will tell. But I mean, this probably was a short. I mean, they were probably thinking we were promoting a triple threat match. Let's just give them a triple threat match and we'll stick the divas in there.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think? Glenn, how was it there in the crowd? Were people really into this?
Yes, they were. I will say I was a little disappointed. I tried getting Sasha's Ratchet chant going on just so that that the WWE universe could be introduced to like doing Sasha's Ratchet. No, she's not. I mean, personally, I don't think she's Ratchet at all. But I'm
glad we have that settled.
I do want to. That was just me. I was trying to introduce something to kind of make it different for like the person that doesn't know who in the world Sasha Banks is, because I mean she's a legit boss. I mean, and Sean, I loved your point about trying to like do not. You basically had team captain entrances. I mean, it wasn't like the diva entrances. It was just the team captains. I mean, and the sad part is that the team captains didn't even wrestle.
Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. These are your teams. You know, this is.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I definitely agree with the point of like getting the fans accustomed to the music. I mean accustomed with the music, accustomed with like the customary chants that go along. Sasha's Ratchet, no, she's not. Woos, but we know how to woo. But like everything did seem rushed. I think WWE made a mistake by doing it this past Monday. I think they could have done it a week before Monday's Raw. It would have gotten a better reaction from the Chicago crowd. I mean, think about it. There are diehards. I mean, there are just as wild as like the Philly crowds that you hear like so many stories about. But yeah, I enjoyed the match thoroughly. I will say, it wasn't a Divas match. It was a women's wrestling match. To be honest, I hate the term diva, because if you're a diva, all you're doing is just trying to look and act cute for the camera and try and have people start chanting, "We want puppies." I did not hear a "We want puppies" chant. I heard "This is awesome." I heard woos. I heard great chants. It was a great match. I mean, how often do you hear a chant of "This is awesome" for a main roster match involving divas?
Almost never.
Exactly. That's what made it so special to me, because it never happens, and it did. And to think that we're going to get this quality level matches on a consistent basis with the new talent, it's going to blow everybody's mind away and make them realize, why have we not bought the network and watched some of these NXT Divas matches? I mean, they are phenomenal.
All right, Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, first off, with the whole entrance thing and everything, I think that's a problem that is going to persist for at least a little while, until WWE realizes that no one cares. And that is that they're still trying to push Total Divas.
Well,
so
we can't sit here and say they're not going to push Total Divas. That's going to be a forever thing until Total Divas doesn't exist anymore.
Well, no, I understand that, but like they're trying to push it so hard when no one really cares about Total Divas. They want to see the new people that aren't on Total Divas, and they want to see some real wrestling from them. And then, I mean, in terms of the match. Yeah, the big problem I feel was the fact that it was completely rushed. I mean, yes, they hinted at it during Raw last week, but it wasn't announced until earlier today. So they they hardly had any time to prepare. So I mean, that's why the match wasn't as good as it could have been. But it's still the first step in trying to get the Divas division back to, get it to good wrestling.
Hey, Brandon, sorry for interrupting you, but
Yep.
I didn't even know that they were going to even have a Divas match until they actually announced it during the show. And I mean, I was thrilled by that, but like I didn't even know until the show started. So I mean, I like that was just kind of a neat feeling for me, at least, because it's like they put faith in them enough that they won't have to like do video package or whatnot before it and try and build it up. They can just go out and wrestle, and that's what they did.
Well, I would say I hope that if we're going to start getting singles matches on Raw, it would be really nice to get video packages of the three. Maybe show some of their, if WWE really wants to do this right, you do video packages of Charlotte, of Becky, of Sasha. Yes, a lot of their matches involve each other, but still, you show that. You show everybody what makes them great, why they are as revered by other people as they are. That immediately gets you invested in them, and I feel like that's something we're going to miss because they won't do it.
I know, sorry about that, but like it was the week before Survivor Series that it was going to be Rock and Cena versus Miz and R-Truth. How Mick Foley came out and did "This Is Your Life" on John Cena. The next day, WWE on YouTube uploaded a thing called "Who Is Mick Foley?" and it was a really good piece. I mean, if you get a chance to see it, but like, I would like to see something like that for these NXT divas that have just kind of made and moved their way on the main roster.
All right. So I mean, you think WWE would at least try to do this, Paul, or?
It would be nice if they did. I'd rather them show on live roster stuff, like live tomorrow on Raw. Have these girls be the standouts in the promos for these teams. Have Sasha be the one that sort of takes control of the promo. Have Becky and Charlotte have more airtime than what they got instead of having Paige get most of the setup. And just let them naturally evolve on the show. If you want to use video packages, that's fine. But I feel like it would be better if they naturally evolved across live television instead of pre-taped stuff.
Fair enough. All right, so moving away from this into the next match, which is Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. All right, so I already had a problem with this as soon as we start because isn't Roman Reigns upset at the fact that Bray Wyatt has threatened him many times, made us think that, he had his child, all this stuff, and we start off with a lockup. Does that make any sense to anybody? I mean, why are these guys not brawling all over the floor? Why are they not trying to beat the total crap out of each other? Yeah, we got a little bit of that. I was happy with the ferocity and how hard they were hitting each other, but it didn't. The emotional investment didn't come until later when they were just laying it on each other, and I appreciated it. But it should have been there from the beginning. I mean, what do you think, Paul? Me and Chris were talking about this as the match was going on.
See, I don't know if the emotional involvement ever got that high during the feud because, Bray, implied that he was after Roman Reigns' daughter, and he has said that he's after Reigns' career and all that. But I don't know if it ever felt like they ever reached that level of ferocity where Reigns is like, yeah, dude, I'm into this. I believe this. It's just. Okay, Reigns is sort of going through the motions in the feud, and Bray is sort of... But
didn't Reigns even go through the stuff on Raw where he attacked him during his entrance just to get one back on him for...
One time. Like, every other time it's just been, okay, it hasn't felt like he's invested, It never felt like you were getting everything that Roman could be giving into this feud. And I feel the same way about the match. There's some really neat spots in this. They hit each other hard, very hard at times, but I would say that just their investment, I don't think was as much as the feud required it to be. I felt like Bray was into this. I didn't feel like Reigns was totally into this.
Yeah, I mean the clotheslines, that boot and clothesline.
Oh my God!
Bray gave him. My God, I didn't know that Roman's head was still on his shoulders. It was ridiculous. You know, the stuff with the outside stuff and the chairs was a bit weird because it never felt like it got used.
Yeah. Bray catching Reigns with that clothesline when he was going for the apron drop kick.
Yeah.
That
was
sick.
cool because we never seen that where somebody blocks the apron drop kick. And Luke Harper has returned. I love how the fact that Michael Cole acted like he couldn't see that big ass beard through that hoodie or anything.
It was exploding out of the hood.
Yeah, it was exploding. Yeah. Even I could see it. From where I was sitting during that match, I could see the beard.
So there were rumors. I think we talked about them on the show on Thursday of Sting. Mm-hmm. He could still possibly show up on Raw. We don't know. We do know that for sure we're not getting Sting and Undertaker at SummerSlam. Now that Harper is back. Now that Harper's back, I don't think I have a problem at all if we wind up with a tag match of Sting and Roman versus Harper and Wyatt. It protects Sting much better, and I don't think it hurts Wyatt at all if he loses. Yeah. What do you think, Paul?
I feel like it would be better served with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, but being that tag team, if that's the way we're going to go, if they have to have Sting in this, I would much rather prefer it just be Sting and Bray Wyatt by themselves. And you've already taken the shine off Sting by having that almost embarrassing performance at WrestleMania. I don't know how many people are going to be invested in watching him feud with Bray, especially whenever Bray's been sort of treated as an afterthought this entire year so far.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like the cool thing for me would be that basically you get to have Sting and Wyatt outspook each other. How can they top this, top that? That would be kind of interesting for me. Who knows what they're going to wind up letting him do? But
well, you had the opportunity to do that with Bray Wyatt and Undertaker, and they didn't really do anything with that. So, do you really expect them to do it with Sting?
But we saw it with Sting and Triple H.
Oh yeah.
So why couldn't they do it with Bray and Sting? I mean,
yeah. I mean, and the Taker feud for Bray is sort of different because now you'll have Sting there more often than you will Taker showing up once in a blue moon instead of Bray sort of begging to get his ass handed to him.
Yeah,
that's true.
But what you got, Glenn and Brandon? Brandon, what do you think about the match?
I mean. Well, here's the thing. Well, I mean, you were mentioning it before how slow it was, but I think that was the problem with this whole feud was that it was so haphazardly thrown together. Bray Wyatt just randomly appearing to screw Roman Reigns out of winning the Money in the Bank, and then going through this whole thing of Bray acting as if he's kidnapping Roman Reigns' daughter and all of this. And it had the makings of something good, but they just didn't execute it to where they made it seem like it really mattered. And this match was proof of that, where, if they did this feud well, where, Bray Wyatt was, intimidating and threatening Roman Reigns time and time again, week in and week out, and you maybe had even vignettes of, things that happened, behind the scenes, off camera, outside of the arena and stuff like that, where, Roman Reigns really had this vested interest in beating the crap out of Bray Wyatt. And then you had a very vicious, very brutal, Roman Reigns, if they did this correctly, it should have been, a no-holds-barred, no disqualification match where Roman Reigns goes in and just destroys Bray Wyatt. And this match just didn't feel like I think it was because of the feud in general. But even without that, this match was just very slow, very tedious, and and if anyone should have been bringing in the chairs to begin with, it should have been Roman Reigns to start out, not Bray Wyatt. It felt like Bray Wyatt was becoming desperate to beat Roman Reigns, and that's why he was bringing the chairs in to begin with. Whereas the first thing, it should have originally been, Roman Reigns just wants to destroy Bray Wyatt. He doesn't care if he gets disqualified. He's going to destroy him. So this whole match, this whole feud was just really poorly done. And I'll let you guys finish with this, but I have one question for Glenn about one of the earlier matches before, and all of you.
Go ahead.
That in the tag team match, when Darren Young was tossed over the top rope, it seemed when watching it on TV, it seemed like he hit the camera because the camera kind of wobbled at first. Did he actually hit the camera, or what was that?
No, he hit the camera.
He did hit the camera?
Yeah, his boot hit the camera.
Oh, his boot hit the camera. Okay, it looked like his head hit it. That's what I was thinking at first.
I didn't even know that actually happened.
Oh, yeah, you were probably sitting on the other side of the ring.
Yeah, I was on the side that they would be shooting at.
Okay, you were.
It's probably one of those. It's hard to tell if you're in the arena because you're not necessarily watching for that.
Right.
But what do you think, Glenn, of the match there? How was the crowd for that? I heard a lot of Wyatt. You had Wyatt got the Cena treatment for a while. Let's go, Wyatt. Wyatt sucks.
Yeah, he did. I was a little surprised for the Wyatt stuff. I did try leading people, and he's got the whole world in his hands. Fall flat on its face. Yeah,
I think that's pretty much dead by now.
Well, to be honest, I think he could have used it because think about it. Roman Reigns that's basically his whole world, and just kind of be like this creepy stalker, almost borderline pedophile in a way.
I don't know if you want that.
Well, yeah. I said here's why I said borderline. I mean, I understand standards and practices. But I do think they missed out on the opportunity to truly make it personal. I thought I liked the anyone but you, but they really should have made it personal. And
that was missing.
And in hindsight, I actually just realized that and I didn't realize this until you said something, Sean. Was about how in the match they started, they actually locked up, and you know what? I was just thinking it was going to be a normal wrestling match, but it's like if this is supposed to be a feud that's full of anger and vileness, I would have expected them to start one left hand on back of head and right hand punch and just kind of it looking more of like a hockey fight than a traditional wrestling match. Because I do think they missed out on certain parts of it.
Yeah, but it's like Paul said, which I didn't think about until Paul brought it up about how the feud never really got to that. So, but we've seen this so many times with WWE though that even if the feud did get to that point, they still have them start that way.
Yeah.
So we can try to apply logic to it, and a lot of times they don't use that same logic. So moving along, a feud that did deserve.
Don't mix.
Yeah, a feud that did deserve. The way it started and the way it went through the entire match, Kevin Owens and John Cena end-to-end action. It felt like it just never stopped. Constant moves, constant everything. I know that this is supposed to be like the end, and it really felt like they were just trying to top each other. I thought it was great. The ending, though, the ending has everybody talking. Instead of having Kevin Owens pass out like we've seen Rusev do, like we've seen Cena do himself, like we've seen many others in their time do, Owens taps out. Now, they did make the point that Owens didn't want to give up, and eventually he felt like he had to tap, but I don't know why you didn't just have him pass out. He looks much better. I don't know how he could swindle his way into getting if we are going to do the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam or whatever, if he could prove that he deserves a fourth match after he's tapped out, isn't that a definitive ending? I mean, everybody's using that buried word again, Paul. Are we going that far?
I think it's hard to disagree at this moment in time. Obviously, we can't see in the future or anything like that, but we've seen this before, and we've been burned by this before. I'll say the match is fine. It felt like a crazy, over-the-top indie match, though, and I don't know if that worked in this sort of atmosphere. It just felt like moves. It didn't feel like a lot of psychology was involved here, and that's something I felt like this match deserved more of. I think that's why the first two matches worked so much better. It felt like they were trying to top those, and instead of trying to figure out a cohesive flow, it was just move after move after move, and the fans, obviously live in attendance, even if I was there live in attendance, I would have been so into this, because they got off, as you said, from the word go, and just launched up to 100 miles an hour in like 5 minutes. And that certainly has its place, but I don't know if this was it. That finish bugs me. Kevin Owens tapping out, definitely not a way. I would have preferred a no finish. I would have preferred Kevin Owens walking out, getting frustrated. I would have preferred him winning. Anything but this.
Even him getting pinned wouldn't have been so bad.
I would have been okay with a pin too. But this was, I think, the time, especially if you're trying to make this guy the number 2 heel. He needed to beat John Cena for that belt. And I don't know if it's because WWE isn't willing to sail the boat on Cena being the champ yet and using the open challenge so we can continue to work with mid-card talent, because that has been working to some degrees. I don't know if it's because they just don't, it's the same old excuse of we can't have Cena look bad, but they need to realize that either his time is coming to an end or you need to start making some more guys, because you're relying on the same people and it's not always working out for the best.
So would you say, let's say that Owens wins the title in a Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam, would that wipe out a lot of...
It only works if he makes Cena taps. If he gets the same win back, I would say it fixes it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm torn because this match made Owens look awesome. I don't think we can dispute that. I think this entire feud has been about... I just hate this formula with Cena, where you win the first one, you look awesome, and then Cena has to come back and win every single one after that.
Mm-hmm.
And it destroys everything, your hope, your dreams, your whatever. And yeah, maybe if Owens wins and maybe he doesn't pin Cena, cool, he got the belt. We're going to be happy about that. But it's still going to feel a little bit bitter. It's still not going to feel the same way. And I can understand people being upset. But I think people downgrading the pay-per-view that badly because of that, I think it's a little harsh. We still have a lot to see for this show, for what's going to be with Owens. And I think it's going to take a lot more than tapping out to John Cena people not to care about Owens right now. That guy is going to be, considering where SummerSlam is, that guy's going to be mega over when he's over there.
But I'm sure a couple of months ago you said the same thing about Rusev.
I feel differently about Rusev because it was in the way that he was beaten. You didn't have the same feeling of him being toe-to-toe with John Cena that you do with Kevin Owens. They didn't trade moves like this back and forth like that. They didn't have a match where it was basically them trading big moves constantly.
Yeah. But I have a problem with this just because, like, the whole match, every big move, I was just waiting. Okay, when's Cesaro gonna pop up? When's
Rusev.
When's Rusev gonna pop up? You know, I was just waiting for it because that was I had a feeling that, you know, with the way Cena is, they were not going to allow Kevin Owens to beat him fair and square. But I was hoping and praying that they weren't going to be stupid enough to have Cena just beat him 1, 2, 3 on the mat. And not only did they do that, they did even worse by making him tap out. I mean, as much as you guys want to be optimistic, I just can't. Yes, I think there will be a fatal 4-way some way at SummerSlam, but I can guarantee you right now that either A, Cena will win, or B, one of the other two will win and the U.S. title will go in a completely other direction and Kevin Owens will be relegated to the lower mid-card.
See, I can't imagine that. I think it's either Cena wins or Owens wins because who are you gonna have chase? You're gonna have Cesaro chase Rusev for a while? Because that's gonna look dumb. Like, imagine what you can do wrestling-wise and program-wise with Cesaro chasing Kevin Owens and Rusev maybe interjecting himself here and there. It just doesn't ring the same bell. If John Cena doesn't win, to me the only logical thing you can do with Rusev already having had the belt.
Well, I think Cesaro would be the more just because of how much of a push that they've been giving him lately, with giving Cena a run for his money time and time again. I think it would be Cesaro that would win it, and then with Owens and Rusev both basically chasing Cesaro.
What do you think, Paul?
I'm still of the mindset that you move Cesaro to the Intercontinental title. You didn't have Daniel Bryan do what you wanted to do for it. I don't know. With the way that Ryback, Miz, and Big Show was going, that's not going to do that title any favors either. I think if you put it on Cesaro and let him have these kind of matches that Cena's been having with this belt, I think you'll do a lot of good for the Intercontinental title and a lot of good for Cesaro at the same time. He doesn't need to be involved in this. And especially if you get Ziggler back sooner or later, you can put Ziggler in where Cesaro has been and still have a fairly strong U.S. title picture. That's my 2 cents.
All right.
You know,
Glenn, what did you think?
My cousin's
being there live, what did you think? I mean, did everybody get deflated after this? I mean, how was?
I was on an emotional high. I loved that match. I was proudly sporting the KO shirt that I got. I will say, Paul, to your point, my cousin said something pretty close to what you said about moving Cesaro to the Intercontinental title picture, giving it kind of like a prestige boost in a way. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, as soon as Cena locked on the STF, the one that would eventually be the one that made Kevin Owens tap out, like after Cena dragged him back, it's like, I don't know, Owens is gonna tap. Like, I covered my eyes just so that I didn't have to see that, because to be honest, it didn't work. I do get that you're trying to kind of remove this image of him being this unstoppable force at NXT and trying to make him more human, but hello, you should have started doing that with John Cena, but also thinking at the same time, they definitely did make Cena seem more human at Fastlane when he passed out to Rusev, and so, to be honest, I think that there's a fairly good chance that that tomorrow evening's U.S. Open challenge, I think Kevin Owens may wind up answering and beating Cena.
That would be a very interesting. I mean, it would destroy. It would basically make this match and the tap out basically, it would make it ridiculous and would just make it seem stupid. But it would
They've
be.
done this before, though. How many Raw rematches at the pay-per-views do they usually have? I mean, we usually get at least one, if not two.
Oh yeah.
So.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. But since it's the Open Challenge, anybody can answer, and if Kevin Owens answers, that just means that you definitely are building up for like a big match at SummerSlam, like Falls Count Anywhere, Steel Cage, Street Fight, something like that. I was disappointed that there wasn't a match like that on the show, because it would have really benefited like these two specifically, like have them like go out in an all-out brawl and just absolutely destroy everything in sight. That would just be the beautiful scenario of how to end a feud. It's like you're basically dropping an atomic bomb. That is how you end a feud. But just I did enjoy a lot of the match. I got a lot of great pictures from that match, especially some of the top rope stuff. Even Kevin Owens' Swanton Bomb. I got a great midair picture of that I'm going to be posting tonight. But yeah, I do feel that they did neglect some things. I can't think of what they are, but it seems like they did miss out on opportunities.
Yeah, to your point, I just don't see how the other two guys don't come in and go, hey, you had your chance. It's our chance now. And then Owens will just keep doing what he's been doing, where he just gets frustrated and constantly matches, and then they turn it into a fatal four-way because Owens just won't leave everybody alone.
I do see your point, Sean. Don't get me wrong about that. I do think that is definitely, from a fan standpoint, the logical decision. But just kind of thinking from like the WWE position, if I was in charge of the booking committee, I would do something and that would just shock everybody, that nobody expects. Kevin Owens answering the Open Challenge and actually answering and winning. That would add a level of shock factor, and also kind of add a bit of a rebound for Kevin Owens, at least.
Yeah, but doesn't that make your pay-per-view? Might as well never watch your pay-per-views, because they're gonna just undo them the next night.
That's basically the WCW formula, where the pay-per-views don't matter.
Well, I do understand, but I do feel that this pay-per-view mattered for this match. I think it matters for SummerSlam. Just to kind of piss John Cena off, he accepts the match and wins. That pisses John Cena off because Cena made Owens tap. Owens shouldn't get the rematch, but since it's an Open Challenge, anybody can answer it, and it would just piss him off to no end. That's just kind of the beauty of it, and it would allow them to make it a war. That's what they needed. I mean, all this was a glorified indie match. But I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it, but to the point that there wasn't much psychology. I do understand that. I just think that they could have done so much to make it seem like as brutal as possible. I mean, this was the rubber match for Kevin Owens.
It was brutal. All they did was exchange freaking crazy moves the whole match.
No, I'm talking like fist flying. I mean, not about just kind of like, not about the high flying moves, just like pounding on each other, rolling around, hitting each other with the chairs here and there. That I think it needed kind of that hardcore element. Because even though WWE's kind of wants to get away from that, certain matches need the extreme element of a weapon, a table, a chair, a kendo stick. That this was that feud that needed that kind of level.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I think there was another match that needed that, and I mentioned it earlier, and that was the Bray Wyatt against Roman Reigns match.
Absolutely, and I actually kind of forgot to make this point. I was a little taken back at how hard hitting it was, and it's like, am I in the right place? I mean, I thought I was going to a WWE show. I wasn't expecting strong style Japanese wrestling.
I don't know about all that.
Well, limited extent, but just as hard hitting as some of the moves were.
Fair enough.
I'll say this much. Cena and Owens has never been about weapons and any of that. It's been about Owens trying to prove he's the better wrestler and trying to dethrone Cena. And while
Cena
that ultimate
trying to prove that he can hang with him in the ring too.
Exactly, and it's never been about trying to put a guy through a table or making a guy bleed like it was for Bray and Roman Reigns. It was about wrestling, and that's certainly what we got. Although in a fast forward 200% moves environment tonight, it certainly, I don't think it required that hardcore element like a Bray Wyatt or a Roman Reigns feud would have if they did it correctly.
Okay, point taken, but I'm not talking about specifically for this match. I mean, if they should go for a match at SummerSlam, I think that's the match that they truly need to capitalize as
Let's see, that's where it doesn't work, because had Owens not tapped out and he just passes out, then you can play that in, because then Owens is really pissed. Owens is pissed at himself, and he wants to take it out on John Cena, and he's going to do whatever he possibly can to whatever, but Owens tapped out. So using that, I mean, again, we're talking about a company that doesn't use logic, so they might go with your idea, Glenn, but from a logical standpoint, from the finish that we got,
yes,
Owens cannot go to that extreme, because it's his fault that he lost to John Cena. He tapped out. It's not like, it was the referee's fault because he didn't. He said everybody that I passed out and I didn't, or whatever. The finish that was given seems definitive. Now Owens, the only thing he can do is con his way into one more match, which will involve other people, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe we do get one big fourth match out of this or whatever. But I just don't see the whole how getting all this, the hardcore weaponry and all that into it makes sense.
Well, I mean, and what I was saying was, I'm not trying to go at it from the logical, our kind of fan sense. I'm looking to what WWE would want to do for SummerSlam, because they're trying to make this be the summer. It's their summer WrestleMania, and so by adding a match that kind of has that real hard feel to it, will seem to make the difference in the end. But I'm not going at it from the standpoint of us. I'm trying to look at it through WWE's eyes.
But that's not WWE's eyes, though.
Well,
that's not the way they're looking at it.
Oh, All right, whatever. Next.
Okay, let's
beating
get
a
on
dead
to this
horse.
main event. Which really wasn't anything. It was an angle. It was your typical Brock Lesnar match. Suplex, 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 suplex. You got to see Brock jump a barricade at least,
Oh, that.
which was really awesome. I did like him stopping Rollins from running. That was cool. But other than that, it was nothing until Brock hit the F5, and it felt like really rushed. I was like, holy crap, they're really going to have this end in like 10 minutes? And then as soon as he gets to 2, gong, Undertaker, Flash is in the ring. Wow, I didn't know he could move that fast for
Well,
that.
sorry, but I kind of want to say something that may spoil the magic for some listeners. But before the match, while they were showing like the promo video, like they, you know how before certain matches they will change the ring canvas a bit, like that outer layer, if that's the right word. They the crew that came down to do it. There was a guy in like this sweatsuit, like you couldn't see the dude's face, but there were some police officers running with him and the ring crew to go and change the canvas. So I think that was the way that they got the Undertaker to the place that he needed to be.
All right, cool.
Sorry to ruin the magic for some listeners.
It's fine. Anyway. So then Undertaker comes in. He doesn't hit the first chokeslam. Brock counters it. Then he hits a chokeslam and 2 tombstones. The match never ends. No bell is rung. It kind of insinuated that Brock just won by DQ. The referee disappears. No one tries to stop Undertaker from anything. You did get Undertaker chants. Some people are thinking that. I have a feeling it's just Undertaker was trying to find a way to get Brock down, and he low blowed him. And I don't know that he meant to. Either way, even if Undertaker is the one that's turning or something, there's no way on God's green earth they can imagine that Undertaker's not going to get cheered, as he did very loudly. So Seth Rollins retains because Undertaker comes in to get his revenge. How do you feel about this, Paul?
So here's the thing. I thought the match was fine. It was exactly what it should have been and what I think people should have expected it to be, which is Brock Lesnar basically kicking the shit out of Seth Rollins for about 10 minutes. And leaping over the guardrail in a single leap, by the way, was incredibly awesome. I don't care what anybody says. And that was that. And that was fine. The Undertaker coming in and doing all this, I don't know. It feels too late almost. I mean, granted, they don't shut up about him snapping the streak, and then that's totally should be something they brag about forever. But I don't know if now is the right time to do it or not, or if you ever wanted to revisit this, because it feels. It makes, as Jacob pointed out on our Facebook group, it makes the Bray Wyatt match from this past WrestleMania seem completely pointless, as if it wasn't already sort of devalued by now, based on where Bray is in the card. But Taker and Brock, I don't know, still has that same luster to it. I mean, it'll still be cool and all that. I just don't know if it's going to matter as much. Even if they do wait to do it at Mania. Like, say they just skip all this and say, you know what, it's just like he's a haunting specter over Brock until Mania comes around again. But, and, you know, I have no problem with Undertaker going low, too, because Brock Lesnar had spent most of that match looking like a dominant beast. He spent most of his in-ring time looking like a dominant beast. You got to do something. Taker obviously punching him a couple times didn't do anything, so he kicked him in the dick. That's fair. It's whatever. I don't know if this was the best note to end it on, but I'm cautiously optimistic that they're going to do this right. Even if I have...
I mean, that was weird. It just ends 15 minutes early.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing... Just Undertaker doing what he did, and then it's over. Like, just Just really weird. No fallout or anything like that. Just any thoughts on that? Like it just.
I mean, yeah,
really
it's
awkward.
just it's anticlimactic. I mean, I won't say anticlimactic, but because I mean, Taker showing up was still cool. The live crowd pop was huge, and you know, it's whatever. I guess I wanted more. I guess, and it just sort of I don't want to say flat, but it wasn't the best note to end on. I'll say because it just felt like there should have been something else, like a promo. I would have been okay with a few words.
Yeah. All right, Glenn, you were there.
Haha. I will say the deafening roar for like during that gong, that was the coolest, man. I will say I got goosebumps. I will say from not only being at this but being at Survivor Series this past year, like even though the Survivor Series Sting pop didn't seem as loud, it was definitely loud. They only adjusted the audio so that Michael Cole could get his words out. But I haven't seen what they did on the network yet for that match. But if they kept it just the exact way that it was live, it was deafening. It made me proud to be a wrestling fan, and I will say I was glad Undertaker kicked Lesnar in the groin, because obviously that'll just tell Sable no more nookie nookie. But I will say I thought that I was glad that there was a one more time chant right after one of the second tombstone. Like, I was really hoping for a third tombstone, because just to kind of make it symbolic of the 3 F5s that slayed the Undertaker. 3 tombstones that slay the beast. And the very final photo I took of the evening there was of Paul Heyman kneeling over Brock Lesnar as he was laying on the ground. And I will say I'm glad that Lesnar actually sold for once. And it was cool. It was a cool thing to see that we have a wounded beast, and not mad at the finish at all. But I do think it made it Undertaker's appearance seem lackluster, in the sense of that instant appearance. I wish they would have had the gong and do his normal entrance, and just kind of do it that way, where Lesnar is just shocked and stunned, and that would allow Rollins to cheap shot his way or get the roll up. I would have rather seen that done than just the dusty finish. I mean,
Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with Glenn on the finish. In terms of the match, it was kind of a weird finish where someone made fun of it on the Facebook group, that basically Seth Rollins turned into the Undertaker through the darkness. Seth Rollins was nowhere to be found once Undertaker came around, and the ref disappeared.
If you're Seth Rollins, after the way you treated his brother, do you want to be around there either? I mean,
oh no, I agree with that, but I would have at least liked them to have had some sort of finish to the match instead of everyone just disappearing and Undertaker just dealing with Lesnar. I mean, it makes sense to an extent, but I would have liked Lesnar to have gotten pinned by Seth Rollins, thus allowing Rollins to be even more cocky about, oh, I pinned Lesnar and yada yada yada, and then have Undertaker come down, let Seth Rollins disappearing, and then Undertaker doing his business with Lesnar. I mean, this is setting up, obviously, I would assume that this is setting up an Undertaker versus Lesnar match at SummerSlam, but I just feel that if what we're predicting is going to be true, that Undertaker is going to lose to Lesnar and that's going to end his career, that it just feels like this is, like, he just seemed too strong. He seemed like he could go, he could come back to the main roster again, basically. He seemed like he was, perfectly fine with taking down the Beast, and, it definitely takes away some of the aura. I mean, obviously you want to keep the aura of The Undertaker, but if Undertaker does any sort of damage to Lesnar in this match, it definitely takes away from Lesnar's, power as the Beast. Just as we said, the beatdown that Lesnar got by the Authority a couple of weeks ago took away from it. So I don't know exactly. I mean, this is the story that we have basically with every match in this card is, yes, there has to be a winner, but how are you going to keep everyone's power up there? And that's something that creative has to deal with.
All right, Chris Lemche just called in. What are your thoughts on the show? We're pretty much here at the end.
Actually, I just wanted to call to mention one great thing that I was actually talking to Jacob San Antonio about this. I think Daniel Bryan is the only guy that John Cena has never gotten his win back from.
Oh.
Only because
So my advice to Bryan is, don't ever come back.
Nice.
I will say this about the Owens and Cena thing. I don't mind that he lost. I think it was going to happen. I hated that he tapped. That's my biggest issue of it. I don't know where they can go with him now that he tapped out to Cena.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was my biggest complaint as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's do what we always do for these pay-per-views.
If I may say one final thought on the Lesnar Rollins match, I swear you could have made it into a drinking game after all those suplexes Lesnar delivered.
Yeah, there was everybody counting.
Yeah, and kind of the funny thing was that there was a guy that had like one of those giant flip notebook paper things, and he had 1 through was it 13 or 12 suplexes Lesnar delivered.
I don't remember.
Whatever.
It was about 13.
Yeah, 13. Well, he actually had enough all the way to 13, and I just thought that was just the coolest. I mean, I was expecting like I don't know, only getting to about 7, like with the notebook paper, and it's like nope, he went further. He went to 13, and it's like good for that dude.
It would have been funny. I doubt you could do it at a WWE. Well, I mean, if you were up in the upper deck, it would have been cool to show it. Have someone bring a bunch of S's like they do with the K's
Oh yeah.
baseball games.
Oh.
Hang the S's up on the frieze or on the facade.
Yeah.
Or just different pictures of Brock suplexing different people.
Yeah, and just have like all 13 of them up there, like you do with the K's.
Yeah. Or does any of you guys remember when Santino was Intercontinental Champion? How he had the honky tonk meter? Does that sound?
the honkometer thing.
Yeah. I think Lesnar could have actually had a meter right next, like on the lower corner of the screen for every suplex he delivered.
He does. His name is Paul Heyman.
Yeah. I will say I was disappointed that Paul Heyman didn't get to say anything.
Well, it's a pay-per-view.
Well, I could care less. Like that was a pay-per-view. I didn't get to hear a Paul Heyman promo.
Well, that's why you go to Raw.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to a live WWE show and Paul Heyman's going to be there as Brock Lesnar's advocate, he needs to advocate. He needs to speak. He needs to say the 8 awesome words that he uses. The ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman.
All right. Okay, so
yeah.
Let's get to what we do every time, which is putting a rating on this show. So, Paul, what is your rating? What is the best part of this show, the worst part of this show, and your MVP for this show?
Alright, so worst part of the show, gotta be the Kevin Owens finish, tapping out, that was totally lame. Best part of the show for me actually was the Divas. I enjoyed pretty much everything they gave us from them tonight. MVP of the show, though, has to be, probably still... No, you know what, I'm gonna give it to Charlotte, F it. Divas win Battleground. As far as the show altogether, I'm giving it a 6. There's some fine wrestling throughout the entire evening, but booking, I think, really dragged us down a lot.
All right, Chris.
I am going to give it a 5.5. The booking really does drag it down. The thing I didn't like the most is Owens tapping. That's not a finish I would have done. I don't get what they're thinking with that. Probably my favorite match is probably Owens and Cena was good, but my favorite match is probably the Front 10 Players of New Day. I was actually very surprised about that. And the main event, it kind of hurts Seth a little bit because I feel like he's worse now than when he went in. But we'll see. I can't see where they're going with him, like who he's facing at SummerSlam now. They didn't really set any kind of path for him at all. I mean, I guess it's not really going to matter since I'm assuming the main event of the next pay-per-view is Lesnar Taker, the rematch, so it doesn't matter who he's facing off against. But
you don't think we'll get that Fatal 4-Way, Chris?
For the U.S. title?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to explain why Owens gets another shot with him tapping. That's the only weird way of doing it. Had he not tapped tonight, then yeah. But it's just hard to get to that. I do think we might get at SummerSlam Roman and Dean versus Harper and Bray.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah. But anyways, I got to get going, guys. Have a good show. And yeah, this pay-per-view is another middle of the road, but it's on. Again, it's Battleground. What can you really expect?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brandon, what do you think?
I'll give it an overall rating of 6. The best match, best match in terms of an actual match in total, I'll say New Day against Primetime Players. Best moment was definitely Undertaker coming out. Worst moment, obviously, everyone said it, everyone agrees. It was Kevin Owens losing by submission. And then my MVP, yes, they had to do it, and yes, it'll mean nothing in a month. But my MVP for this show, I'll give it to The Undertaker just because of how he came out and the chokeslam, the double tombstone. It was just awesome, and that if it wasn't for that, I would have basically given this show a 3 because of how horribly they booked the Owen Cena match. But that was the only redeeming quality, and I mean the show prior to Owen Cena wasn't bad, so that's why I'll give it a 6.
I'm gonna go with a 6 as well. The best part was the Divas getting to have their first match. The worst part, Kevin Owens tapping, obviously. I think my MVP goes to Darren Young and Titus O'Neil for retaining the titles. And Darren Young, I think, kind of showing that he's not just this generic wrestler. He's actually pretty good. And he's still a little sloppy. That's his problem. But I think he's getting better every time we see him. If they can get that all into a package, I think you've definitely got something as far as the primetime players. Hopefully, going to be champions for a while. We'll have to see how long that lasts. I don't want to. The match was great between Cena and Owens. I think that was my same exact thought that Paul had. That it just felt like a bunch of moves happening with no psychology, no reason behind them. Just how can we top this one? How can we top that one? I appreciate them kind of going in a different direction than the way they've done the last two. That was kind of different. But yeah, just having Kevin Owens tap leaves a very sour taste in your mouth. It does leave you with this sense of what are they going to do? Are we worried about now Owens has had his time and that was it? But I cannot believe that he's going to be nothing because all he's proven is that he's such a big star. So I just don't see that he's going to drop off the face of the earth or anything like that. I think we're all just, really just, we're exaggerating here. And I think maybe SummerSlam will possibly help assuage some of those fears. We'll have to see.
The only reason why I have to disagree with you on that is the fact that, we've said that before how many times about guys that
I don't think anybody has come off as big as Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Rusev never came off as big. I don't care what you're going to tell me. Bray Wyatt had his moment, but I think he would have eventually gone back down to what we're seeing him because WWE is not going to expand Bray's character in the way that Bray's character can expand, which is getting darker. It's not PG. They're not going to do it. They had the opportunity to do it with this feud with Roman Reigns, and they didn't do it. I'm not saying kidnap his daughter, but they really could have done some dark stuff if they wanted to, and they didn't go that way. And it really hurt the feud, I thought, because it kept you from being able to humanize with Reigns. So those two guys, everybody else, now we might see it with the Divas too. They're eventually going to become other people on the roster, a big whoop. But I don't think anybody has been able to look like they stand toe-to-toe with John Cena as much as Kevin Owens. And that's just where I think that they would really just have to completely kill him in order for him to go back down to being nothing. And I just don't see them doing that, even if he tapped here.
The only question I have is, who are they going to... assuming that they don't give him the title... Where is he going to go from here where he will still stay relevant and will still be, someone that's worth watching?
That's where you have to build him back up, I guess.
I'll tell you what, man, him and Dean could put some butt in some seats.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yes, he
that'd
could.
be-
Yes, they could.
The problem is it would be much more cool if Dean would have been relevant the entire time. But
it could be it'd be a feud where you have to be careful once again. But if you do it right, you could make both of them come out of it looking pretty tough. Hopefully, that's the dream,
all right,
at
Glenn,
least.
give us your final thoughts, because after this we're gonna go do something else. So I'll have to bid you guys adieu. But
Alright.
Glenn, give us your final thoughts since you were there and everything.
I will say, my rating is 6 3/4. I will say,
we're going with the snowflake route here, the 3/4.
yeah.
What BS is this? I'm joking.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but I mean, to be honest, I'm rating it this way for match quality. I'm taking all of these points off for lousy booking. I will say I do feel bad for some of the dudes. To be honest, I would. I should probably mention this. I think Sean, you'd really be interested in this, but by the pre-show set, I saw hanging out. I saw Jimmy Jacobs, and I got a picture of him, and he was a really nice dude, man.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, but I will say, best moment of the night was Undertaker's appearing and leaving Brock Lesnar and leaving him laying. I match of the evening had to have gone to the Divas, and I was telling the person behind me, this is how you give Divas a chance. I mean, even though we can crap on it by saying, well, you didn't have Becky Lynch in it. You didn't let them walk out to their own entrances. Yeah, I do agree that may have taken part. That it would have been neat to kind of show that these girls have their own identity. But yeah, I loved that match. It truly was not a Divas match. It was a women's wrestling match. And to be honest, there's definitely the big difference. Worst part of the night, I'd say having to see Kevin Owens tapped out. Even though I did cover my eyes, the fact that he tapped out, it was really kind of sad to see that happen. My MVP, I'm going a completely different route than what everybody else is doing. My MVP was Seth Rollins. He had to take 13 suplexes from Brock Lesnar. That is just, I mean the fact that he can even walk after the 12 Germans is just a miracle. I mean, I'm surprised Lesnar, that the fact that Lesnar didn't almost break his neck by doing the Germans.
Yeah, Patrick just sent me a missing persons report for Seth Rollins. So yeah.
Well, I think you should also include in the missing persons report last seen with a Conqueror and Mike Chioda.
All right, so
I was also kind of expecting Mike Chioda to just grab a microphone and start asking Rollins, "Do you want to quit?"
All right, guys. Well, that's Battleground. Thank you to both Brandon and Glenn for being on with us.
It was my pleasure. I will say I truly enjoyed being at Battleground. The people that were there, they were great. Now comes the part where I actually must go and watch Battleground. I experienced it. Now I have to go and watch it, and
have fun with that.
Yeah,
have fun with that.
Yeah, I also I will say next to getting a fist bump from Roman Reigns, I will say it was neat getting a fist bump from Booker T. yeah, I even felt that Hall of Fame ring. Man, that puppy is big. I kid you not. It's probably bigger than some of the World Series rings that they give to baseball players.
Damn.
Yeah, but truly enjoyed it. I'm going to remember this night forever, and I can't wait to possibly show my kids my face possibly being on WWE Network, and it's gonna be there for all of eternity.
Yep.
That's a cool part for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, that is pretty cool, man. All right. Like I said, thank you guys for being on.
Yep.
And we'll probably be talking to each other more down the road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll be hearing back from me on Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be interesting. As you said, Sean, I'm interested to see where they go with Seth Rollins now. But yeah, we'll just have to see how this thing goes.
All right. Before we all go, why don't we just say one opponent that like the person that's going to face Rollins at SummerSlam?
You know, if Rollins didn't have the belt, I would say Sting wouldn't have been a bad choice for him. He could really make Sting look good in a match.
If we're dealing with WrestleMania hangovers still, it's got to be Reigns. He's in deep, whether the booking says so or not, based off this evening, he's in the position right now, I think, to challenge.
I would say Reigns, except for the fact that the feud between him and Bray Wyatt isn't really completely finished, it seems. So I'm gonna say it's either gonna be Dean Ambrose or, like we've all been predicting, they're gonna figure out a way to have it be Seth Rollins against Triple H.
If Seth Rollins wasn't champion, I was thinking Triple H, but since Seth Rollins still is the champion, I think it's going to be it's going to be an interesting ride to SummerSlam. I know they talk about the road to WrestleMania, but I mean there is that road to SummerSlam. I mean not as many twists and turns, but it's still going to be an interesting build for Rollins, at least for championship match.
All right, guys. We'll be talking to y'all later.
See ya.
Adios, bro.
All right. Well, we'd like to welcome in the host of this show, deciding to show up late.
Oh,
Mr.
man.
Gary Vaughn, come on, dude. What's wrong with you?
No, I know. And hey, you know what? It's going to happen every once in a while, and hey, it happened finally. I'm glad to be back, and I'm late to the show. I know you guys did an awesome job without me. I'm not even worried about that. You didn't need me here because, Paul, I mean, what? You probably went a whole hour without some stupid comments.
Oh no, I made my fair share.
Oh, good. Thank you for picking up the slack, Paul. I appreciate it.
You got to keep the spirit alive.
That's
yes,
right.
We do.
Keep it real. But you know what? I could not miss these ROH talk. I'm very excited about talking about this next show for
How
ROH.
weird is this that Gary's telling me and telling us that he wants to be here for ROH talk? I don't think I'd ever hear that before. That's pretty cool. That shows how much we have all grown as a podcast and how much Gary has grown.
Yeah,
as a wrestling fan. That's cool. I should note that the first line of G1 starts in about 30 minutes. So we gotta sit here and try to
we'll get it
run
done.
Run through this.
There's only 6 matches on this one, so
1, 2, 3. Well, I have 7 as far as my count.
I'm looking at 6 on Wiki. Where are you at?
I'm getting this off of 4-1. Does yours have the Briscoes and Roppongi Vice?
It does.
Does yours have Ferrara and Silas Young?
That one it does not.
Okay. Alright, so lead us through this, Paul.
So, seeing as that's the one that's not on my list, Will Ferrara and Silas Young. We've seen this, I believe, on ROH TV. It had some shenanigans to go along with it, but Silas Young still is attempting to reestablish himself while he's mid-feud with Dalton Castle, and he's got another guy who is clearly not up to snuff to being the last real man in professional wrestling as Silas Young is. So, who you guys got winning this one?
I'd have to say, if Silas Young doesn't win, I don't know how this this works. I mean, his feud is with Dalton Castle, which I don't know if that's still going or what's happening, but I just think that it really hurts Silas Young if he loses to somebody like Will Ferrara, who's pretty much just there.
Mm-hmm.
It really, honestly, it could be possible only because Castle gets involved or sends his boys to get involved. And you know what? That wouldn't bother me at all. But I really think Silas Young needs to win here. I really do. He needs to look strong. He no matter what happens, no matter what Dalton Castle throws this way, I think he still needs the victory. I'm like I said, I think it was last week or the week before, I talked about how much I like this feud, and I'm still into it, and I want them to continue it and do a strong job, and this is a great opportunity for them to really pay it off.
Yeah, and Castle has a high-profile match on this show, so, you know, if somebody does get involved, we could see maybe Silas get involved in Castle's match or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think you hit it exactly on the head, though, Gary. Silas Young needs to look strong in this match. So hopefully a short and sweet match with Will Ferrara, him looking dominant. If he needs to beat up some extra people, that's more for the better. But Silas Young needs to win here. I completely agree. And speaking of said high-profile match, Dalton Castle and his boys are going to have their hands full with Adam Cole, who I am so completely behind. It's ridiculous at this point. Who you guys got winning this one?
This is, I would imagine Cole in a single setting without the Kingdom around. I'd say Cole wins due to Silas Young distracting Castle or something like that. I mean, Castle could probably take the loss and it doesn't hurt him, but Castle's just rising fast through ROH. I'm pretty sure that everybody involved there can totally see the crowd is really behind Castle. But Adam Cole's still kind of in this in-between, whether he hasn't totally left the Kingdom yet, but you can see that there's sort of a face turn happening, so we'll have to see what's going on. This match should be really good. I'm excited to see it. And how, Adam Cole's going to react to all the Dalton Castle stuff. I'm going to say Adam Cole.
Yeah, and what I'm about to say may be popular and may be very unpopular. I'm not sure. But honestly, in my opinion, both these guys could take a loss here. Cole's going to be okay with a loss. I mean, he's a superstar. He's a guy that's, a big enough name that a loss to Dalton Castle doesn't hurt him at all. It does to me. I'll elevate Castle beating Cole. But then again, Castle's on the rise, and a loss to Cole's not a bad thing. I mean, so I'm a little bit I'm having a tug of war on this one. But if you ask me, I kind of agree with Sean. My money would have to be on Cole just because of the fact he's fresh, he's back, and of course he's got the Kingdom with him.
Whether the Kingdom or Silas Young or anything gets involved, I can tell you this match reeks of showcase. And it's a showcase for Dalton Castle to show what he's got with a top-flight superstar in Ring of Honor like Adam Cole. But I still don't think Dalton Castle's going to come out on top, whether it's by hook or crook. Adam Cole's going to come out of this with the victory, just because he's still sort of reestablishing himself since he came back from the injury. So it's certainly going to be one to keep your eyes on. It could be a show stealer, too, for all we know, because I could see these guys having some phenomenal chemistry with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where... I'm not up on Castle's background, but I'll just say this. From wherever he was trained or what promotions he's been from, this guy is already... He's already a star. So both these guys together, it's going to be a dream match.
Mm-hmm. And one that a lot of people may not even know that is a dream match, but we're going to label it that.
I will just because it's young, it's fun.
And just to throw, I was listening to... somebody that used to be with 4-1 for a long time, Ari Bernstein, he now works at PW Ponderings. He still does the Column of Honor now over there instead of at 4-1, and he also does a podcast of Honor. And they were talking about the Aries match that he had, and supposedly Maria came out, kind of, sort of, possibly trying to see if Aries wants to be part of the Kingdom. So, and Thea Trinidad was with Aries on that show too. I don't know if that means she's going to be on ROH. She's also doing GFW stuff. So, but it's interesting if they're already looking to maybe involve Aries in something with Adam Cole because of him being part of his past. So, that'd be interesting.
I would totally be okay with that, especially if it means we get Cole and Aries at a Top Flight pay-per-view. Oh, that's money. That is a license to print money.
Yep.
Real quick, we shill 411 a lot on here because we're associated with them, and we all write for it in some degree. But PW Ponderings is a wonderful place, especially if you're into independent wrestling and you ain't never heard of that place. Go check them out. They're a wonderful place.
Agreed.
So going from our labeled dream match to what is a tag team dream match, and the Briscoes taking on Rapagni Vice, Jay and Mark taking on Beretta and Rocky Romero. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Who do you guys got?
It really depends on, is ROH going to do anything with Roppongi Vice, or Roppongi Vice only here because Young Bucks are doing stuff, and so is the other tag teams already involved in the other tag match for the tag titles, or are Roppongi Vice going to be a team in ROH where they're going to be around? If they are, I just, that's the thing. I just don't, it just depends, because if they're not, then obviously you don't beat the Briscoes, because the Briscoes are still big names in ROH. I mean, I guess they could take a loss, but when you think of them as a tag team, they're one of your premier tag teams. Do you want them losing to Roppongi Vice? This would be one of their, they've been around a little bit, but not that much. If they are going to be around, then having a big win against the Briscoes solidifies them as a player in that tag division. So I'm going to say the Briscoes win, but I'm not too sure about it.
Yeah, another difficult choice here. I mean, this is another match that I'm really looking forward to. I think it'll be great. I'm a big fan of both tag teams. I really am, and it's always associate the Briscoes as if they were ever on a TV show like the Muppets. I mean, the Muppets will look just like they look. I'm sorry. I'm just the way they are perfect at it. So they're great images in my mind when I see these guys. But I will just say this: as a wrestling match, will be great. Choice of this match and who's going to win. I am just going to go on the other side here. The Briscoes are great. I think they're wonderful, but I just want to give Rapagni Vice the opportunity to win a big match against an established team in ROH. So I'm going to go that way, but my brain tells me the Briscoes.
Even if Rapagni Vice isn't sticking around long term, I still say you give them the win. They're a great tag team. They're just so wonderful together. They're hilarious at times, especially if Rocky Romero's going off and Britta's like, dude, calm down. Just breathe. I think they work so well together, so I want to go with Rapagni Vice too. I don't think that you're not going to hurt the Briscoes at all if they take the loss here, especially with the way ROH books matches. It's just not going to happen. The Briscoes are tag team wrestling in ROH. That's not going to change until they leave. So I think they'll be safe taking a loss to Rapagni Vice. Next up, though, on my list is a grudge match, and a young grudge match, but still a grudge match. As Cedric Alexander with the recently turned Veda Scott takes on Moose, who is probably all kinds of pissed off and looking to murder Cedric in this one.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know if this is one and done. So I think that you have Cedric Alexander win some way, somehow, whether it's using the wrench again or using something else. I just see this going a little bit longer. So I think you have to either have Veda Scott interfere, cause a problem, or whatever. I think Cedric Alexander wins by hook or by crook here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Sean. I kind of think the same way. I think that somehow, some way, Cedric is going to win. I think that Moose is awesome. I'm a big fan of his, but I just don't imagine this is one and done, like Sean said. And if it is one and done, it'd be kind of disappointing. So yeah, Cedric Alexander for me.
I don't imagine this is a one and done either. I do think it needs some more heat on it. I'm going to say Moose by disqualification because Cedric's going to break out that wrench again. And he's not going to care whether he gets caught or not, because it's going to be about beating up Moose and about proving that Moose is just not where he's at as far as quality and all that goes. That's just my way of thinking about it. And plus, it still keeps you on Moose's side and all that good stuff. And not like losing blatantly by cheating with Cedric would be fine too, but Moose by DQ just because I think Ring of Honor wants to keep that win column looking pretty nice for him. So we're starting to get into our main event territories now. No disqualification match is what I have next. Back in the day, this would be called a fight without honor. As ACH takes on Adam Page. And we've seen these guys have some great matches. Hopefully they can top it and do something insane in this one. And knowing ACH, that's probably going to happen. Who do you guys got winning this one?
I'm going to say ACH. I think this is kind of, maybe they continue it. Maybe it's some help from Matt Sydal. And I don't know what we get here, but I think this part of the feud is over. I think the ACH and Adam Page stuff is done after this. So you have ACH win to end the feud. This has been actually pretty good as far as one of their mid-card feuds go. But I think you'll get something really good, and ACH wins in the end.
Yeah, I kind of hope that ACH wins. I mean, the Page and him have had a pretty good feud, like Sean's talked about. But on the other hand, I'm kind of ready to move on. I want to see something different with these guys, especially for Page. So I really am rooting for ACH here. If it goes on a little longer, it's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I feel like the legs are kind of starting to kind of go out from underneath it. So hopefully it will be a great match, and I think it will. Both these guys are pretty talented.
Yeah, this reeks of blow off. So I'm giving the nod to ACH too, and hopefully this starts him on a path to winning those big matches that'll get him to lifting the television championship off Jay Lethal at some point down the road. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right now, ACH going over Adam Page is the way to go, and we'll see what happens after that. Next up, ROH World Tag Team title match, 4-corner survival. The Addiction defends against Red Dragon, the Kingdom of Michael Bennett and Matt Taven, and War Machine, Hanson Raymond Rowe. This should be all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, this should be awesome. All these 4-corner survival matches, they just get nuts and flying everywhere, lots of crashing and burning, as Mr. Carino likes to say. This should be a lot of fun. I really think there's only 2 possibilities here. It's either the Addiction retaining or War Machine winning it because they've just been ripping through everybody. Red Dragon seem like they're kind of going towards singles. And they'll be they'll be there, but they'll soon be going off again to New Japan for a little bit. So, and the Kingdom, I just don't know if they want them winning titles right now with all the stuff still going around with Adam Cole and all that. So, I'm going to say the Addiction retain, but I feel like I've got the side eye going over there, War Machine.
Yeah. I love War Machine. I mean, these guys are awesome. And if anybody would be the team to beat the Addiction, it would be War Machine. But you look at who the Addiction is, and Christopher Daniels, I mean, it's classic. I mean, this guy is one of the best heels out there, even today, if you ask me. I think he just does such a good job. And these guys will use any way possible to keep those belts. And, it's not hard, especially when you're facing 2 huge guys. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at this more on the lines of, they'll do some shady things to get the victory. But don't get me wrong. War Machine is going to beat these guys down. It's just going to take some sly moves to win.
I'm leaning heavily towards the Addiction winning. I think ROH wants you to side-eye War Machine because they are so dominant. But I wouldn't sell the Kingdom out either. I think ROH is also extremely high on the Kingdom. And I don't think, just because Cole's leaving, they're not going to break that trio up, or if they do it at Aries, that stable up. And I think giving them the tag titles might be a nice little lift here, but I don't think it's going to happen just yet. So I'm going to lean with the Addiction, but I think the only team you could really count out of winning this is Red Dragon. And of course, now that I've said that, Red Dragon's probably going to win the belts. Oh man! But main event, Jay Lethal defends the ROH World Title against Roderick Strong. These two guys are probably both in the running for Wrestler of the Year right now, and probably leaning more towards Roderick Strong, really. But this should be amazing. Roderick Strong has not had a bad match this year, and most of them have leaned more towards supremely great. But who you guys got coming out of this one?
Jay Lethal retains. This match should be fantastic. Sure, the House of Truth is going to get involved and cause issues and whatever. But this should be really awesome. We know the kind of tear Roderick Strong has been on, but I just don't see Jay Lethal losing to Strong here.
Way too early for Jay Lethal to lose a match like this. I mean, don't get me wrong. Roderick Strong has every opportunity to prove us wrong, and it's going to be a quality match. I just don't imagine at all that belt's going to leave Jay Lethal this fast. It would be a big shock, and to me, it would definitely be a big, huge momentum killer for Jay Lethal. So, no, not yet. We'll hopefully get a bigger match, and if Roderick Strong's a part of it, great. If he's not, it doesn't matter. It's got to stay with Lethal.
Yeah, Lethal's going to lose that television title before he loses that world title. So he'll retain here against Roderick Strong, but I would look at this very strongly as a match of the year candidate going into it. This has no chance of being awful, in the very least. This is going to be something you're going to remember for a while.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be exciting. I know you guys are looking forward to it. I am too, and we'll be excited to really get into it. Of course, we are going to have a show before we actually get the chance to talk about this show. So, I mean, we just wanted to cover it tonight just because of the fact that we want everybody listening to kind of get our predictions here before, maybe they listen to our show on demand, and maybe they listen on Saturday would be way too old by then. So this is everybody's opportunity to hear us talk about it now. We may, have a few things extra to talk about on Thursday, but man, this has been a good show, and of course I'm sadly have not got to be a part of most of it, but Sean, thank you so much for filling in and doing such an awesome job. And Sean's a pro. He does 2 or 3 other podcasts he hosts, so no secret about that either. So, and of course, Paul, thank you for taking up the slack on the dumb comments or the things that I would probably say. So,
I'm always down to make terrible jokes.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully no Confederate flag jokes. Keep those away.
Yeah. Those were not coming up in conversation.
Yeah, good. So Michael P.S. Hayes was left out of this show. Good. But anyway, well, Sean is about to have to go watch that G1 tournament, and so we want to let him move on and go, and so we're all going to get out of here at a pretty decent time here. But, of course, we want to let everybody know Thursday night we are going to have a regular show. We're going to be definitely talking about the Raw after Battleground and getting into all the big news that happens after that. And, of course, all the exciting things that hopefully will happen. We'll have a lot of big news topics. Plus, we're also going to talk a lot about what's going on in NXT, TNA. Of course, we'll be covering ROH, that show leading up to this big pay-per-view they got Friday.
Somebody else left TNA.
Oh, my God. Yes, they did. All right, well, I guess you can reveal it now, or you can save it, Sean.
It's that Montel Vontavious Porter.
Man. Isn't it amazing? The guy, that went to TNA and talked about how great it was, and now he's just gone. Huh. That's interesting.
Him and Hernandez must have been really tight.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I mean, if TNA is going to blame him for what happened, then I would have bailed too.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. It's just sad for me. MVP came from Japan, which he loved being in Japan, and came over back to the U.S. and really wanted to be a big help to TNA, and it's not his fault, though. Me personally, you can't blame MVP. So, but we'll get more into more TNA wrestlers being released and things like that, because I'm sure by the time we get to Thursday, 4 more will be gone. So,
he's not lying either. It's just the way things are going.
Yeah, but before you know it, the GFW sign will be on the door. But long story short, guys, we're going to have a great show Thursday. We're really looking forward to that. Sean, while we got this remaining time, why don't you go ahead and plug a few other things?
Yeah. Well, we did do that football to football, like we said, talking about the AFC South and whatever. We already have the AFC East one pre-taped, so we will get to go back to doing the interviews and stuff. That we got to have the whole, Randy, Gary, and I, all three of us on there. So it's going to be fun, along with the Daniel, who we had representing the Dolphins. So that one should be good. And like Gary said, we'll be doing the Thursday show, and then that Sunday we'll be doing a special on the Death Before Dishonor 13. So, and then I will be also. I don't know yet if I'm gonna just do a written review and not do podcasts, or if I'm gonna do both, or if I'm gonna only do podcasts. So there might be a G1 podcast here in the morning for you to listen to. Talking about the first line of the G1, and then after that, I'm going to try to keep up with it one way or another. So
yeah,
there will be G1 stuff for you every time there is a G1 show, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
so.
And everybody has to thank Sean for that sacrifice, because that is a lot of time.
My sleep schedule is going to be totally screwed.
I'm terrified.
You're thinking you're going to get sleep? That's cute.
See, I luckily get to, I'm closing a lot, so I can pretty much, watch these and then go to sleep. But then, when I get home, I have to get myself to not go to sleep, so that's just going to be, I don't know what's going on with that.
So if on Thursday you hear a zombie in the background, no, we're not on The Walking Dead. It's Sean. So. Anyway. Well, guys, this has been a brilliant time. I'm glad at least I got to be on for 20 minutes or so. At least I got to be on the show. Thrilled to be here with you guys and get to talk ROH, and I can't wait to listen back to the Battleground review. You guys did an awesome job. And, of course, thank you to Glenn Smith. Thank you to Brandon Biscobing for calling in and giving their thoughts. That was great, and glad to hear from those guys once again. And sad that we missed Chris, but guess what?
Chris did call right at the end when we got.
Oh, he did call? Okay, good. So, sorry, I was on the road. I'm glad Chris did call in. But I want to hear more from Chris, so hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him on Thursday again. So, anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps up our show. We hope you guys have the rest of the week and enjoy it, and we'll be seeing you guys Thursday. But until then, I want you guys to always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Later.
Later.
Come heavy or don't come.